Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about rework and what that means. And the reason why I'm doing this video right now is because I recently purchased a furniture set which had a table and 4 chairs. And I was putting the chairs together and there was several problems with the set. The quality and the look of the chairs and all that, they're totally fine and I'm on board with it, but they totally messed up packaging it. They were missing, there's a piece of hardware missing. So there's like a right side and left side of the chair. They gave me 2 of one side, and then on another side, they totally messed up manufacturing it. They didn't even drill the holes in it. So there's 3 defects, not 1. Like when you're buying furniture, you expect 0 or maybe 1, like they're missing a screw or a cap or something small. And you know, that's like in the back of your head, you might be thinking that, right? And I was thinking about this. I was like, hey, this is a perfect time to make the video because this totally fits with what you know the topic is about, and I'll explain the process of more about that. So what is it? Rework is, it's just what it is in the description. It's doing the work again. So doing the work again. And basically, it's doing work that should have been done right in the first place. So it should have been done right. So it should have been done right. And what I mean by right is it needs to have a very low margin of error. And you know, depending on what size company you are, if you're very small, your margin of error should be very small as well, because that's a given. If you're not manufacturing large amounts of clothing, you know, in this case, or you're not sending out like huge amounts of orders, you really should be focusing on each one individually and making sure it's right. And what I mean by right is you want, like, depending what size you are, you really want to aim for like a 98% plus. But here's what happens, and like I just mentioned earlier. So the bigger your company is, so the bigger the company, that means that you also need to keep up with the demands of that. So keep up. Because as things get bigger, you're sending out more orders, you're manufacturing more, so you can introduce more margin of error, and you want to diminish that, and I'll explain how to avoid that. So why is rework bad? Rework is bad because you're using valuable resources, which is your time, your money, and you or other people, and you're not putting those resources to work on more important things. So it's a waste of resources. So in my chair example, when we found out there's parts missing, I have to go contact customer service, and now there's a back and forth with the guy on the other end and him trying to figure out our problem. And the company is spending money hiring him to do the back and forth. They have to go and pick and pull parts from their manufacturing or factory, and they have to package them up and then send it back out to us. So there's a truck driving here, right? Deliveries. So there's a lot of back and forth and just a lot of waste in that. So it's a waste of resources, and by resources I mean money, people power, and people power is you and other people. Like if you're working by yourself, that means you're wasting yourself for this. And time is like, I think in terms of importance, it goes up this way. So time is the most important, then people power, then money. Like time is something you can't get back, and the back and forth is just, it's totally unnecessary. It's also bad because you're not, you lose focus. And what do I mean by that? The customer service representative here, in a perfect world, he should be having very minimal contact with customer service. He should be doing other things in the company that are more important. So you lose focus, and you're not doing R&D, and that's research and development to make the process better, make your products better, keep the company going and rolling. You're not generating ideas. And this one is, since this is a clothing channel, this one's really huge. You need to constantly be generating ideas about how to make cool new products, new designs, new everything. And how are you supposed to do that if you're going back and forth with customers? If you send out so many orders and packages that have a bunch of problems in them, you're doing rework and you're reworking all of that, and you're wasting time on that rather than developing new products and better systems, right? And that's a big thing. You're not focusing on systems. No focus on existing systems. And you want to focus on your existing systems to pay attention to improve them or replace them, right? And this video kind of has to do with the strategy one I made earlier that I uploaded. And that's basically how you can avoid it. How do you avoid rework? Is by doing strategy. And what do I mean by strategy? So when you're strategizing, you're trying to figure out how can I stop the process from malfunctioning, right? So figuring out all points of error. So in this example, when they were packing the chairs together, if there's 3 problems, they might have honestly had bad system for doing it. They might have not had a good assembly line for putting stuff in. It might have been more jumbled and rushed. So that's the thing. So quality control. They were lacking quality control. So that's one of the biggest points with rework is focus on quality control. And when you have a clothing brand, that's honestly one of the biggest things is to push out quality. You want your products to be quality customer service, and a quality experience as much as possible. And your brand will continue to grow and you'll get more customers if that's what you focus on. If you're printing bad t-shirts of poor quality, if there's a bunch of problems in the order, you're sending out a bunch of wrong stuff, people aren't going to come back, right? And it's better to spend more money on quality control rather than fixing problems. So in this case, it would have benefited the company to let's say, this is just an example and it totally doesn't match the values, but let's say that you spend $1 extra on quality control, and that might mean in a company, that might mean just literally an extra minute looking at everything, right? Having someone look at everything. They could have spent an extra $1 on quality control, but now they're spending $5 on rework. Because, and this is what I mean by that. When I mentioned earlier, this is what they have to do. They have to hire the guy that's going back and forth with us. They have to package all the new items and pull from their existing inventory, which also causes problems. It's a whole another stream. And they have to package it. They have to put it on a truck and put postage on that, right? And that truck has to go around the country and it has to be delivered here, or on an airplane, right? So you can definitely see how all those costs add up rather than literally spending, and this is, like I said, this isn't like a correct money value. I have no idea how much these things cost. I just know that spending a little bit more on quality control is definitely less than doing the rework, than going back and forth, right? If they spent just a little bit more on quality control, they don't have to spend more on rework. And in my company, I guess what I've done, since I have, my friend Michael, and he helps me with this stuff now, he's actually, like, one of his tasks is quality control. So he looks over the stuff that we're sending out, and it's been helpful because he catches stuff that I can't catch. And I've sent out stuff that's had problems, and I've replaced them for those customers. I've done that before because that happens to everyone. Like I said, you have like a 98% like perfection, but there's always that 1 or 2% that's not going to work out. And it's really good that Michael's there doing that. And that's what I mean. Like I'd rather spend money on hiring him or other people to do that rather than doing the whole back and forth. And I also, doing the quality control does take less time than doing all of this, the rework, the go back and forth. And one other thing to avoid rework is to honestly go slow to go fast. And that sounds weird, doesn't it? You have to go slow to go fast. You have to slow down to speed up. But it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare story. The tortoise is pacing himself and he's going kind of slow, but he has the finish line, his eyes are set on the finish line. The hare's eyes are not set on the finish line. He does detours, he's doing rework, and he's going around other places, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna get to the finish line and everything will be fine. By the time he's there, the tortoise is already chilling. He already passed it, right? Because he took his time and he was focused. The hare was not focused. And that's kind of like the big thing is focus. So I was explaining this to Michael. I was like, hey, I want orders to be packed in an efficient way and timely, but to be honest, I'd rather have you go slightly slower and make sure everything's right than go too fast and you're packing stuff the wrong way, you're sending stuff out that people didn't order. And like I've had this happen before. I accidentally sent out, not recently, but a while ago, I sent out a package and I got 2 packages mixed up. So that if I just spent like a little bit more time not rushing it and like being focused, one order at a time, not like batching like orders, like packing a bunch of orders at once. So one at a time. That's like what I mean by focus. What happened was one customer is like international and then another customer was domestic. And if you have a clothing company and you're smaller and you have to do rework with an international order, it's really annoying. Like it's much more difficult, especially when you're a smaller company, you don't have distribution out in other countries. It's just more work. And I could have saved a lot more time and money if I just literally, like, it would have taken 30 seconds to just make sure an order was packed right. And that was all on me. It was my mistake. And rework, so here's the final point. When you do less rework, you have happier customers. So, the big point. This is weird. I'm kind of yelling for this. So less rework equals happier customers. What do I mean by that? And I could talk about how it's better for the company and all that stuff, but honestly, at the end of the day, the customer is what's important, right? And I derived that from Amazon, and that's their philosophy, and I'm stealing it from them, honestly. Why are customers happier when there's less rework? Because you're not wasting your time and their time doing the back and forth, right? When I was talking about the chair example, going back and forth with the customer service, it's not really ideal for a customer to have to go back and like be like, hey, blah blah blah, I'm missing this, blah blah. They're taking time out of the day when you should have done it right in the first place, like as as much as possible. And that's honestly like the big thing. You want it to be seamless. You want to be order, pack right, ship right, and the customer enjoys it, and the cycle repeats. That's what you really want. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Today we talked about rework. What is it? Why it's bad. It's bad because it's a waste of resources, and how to avoid it. And that's basically strategy and just focus, focus on quality control. And the big point is that less rework equals happier customers. Anyways, I hope you guys like this and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks.